All right, hey guys, Marty B, and joining me tonight for WildinOut, I have Roderick and Seth. Hope you guys are all doing well. Roderick, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm great. I just got off a long session of jamming ladders, so I'm right where I want to be. How are you doing?
Um, could be better, could be worse.
Good.
We have a pretty good show here tonight. Seth, how are you?
I'm good. Just got out of class and I'm looking forward to talking about Hearthstone.
And I know how much we love talking about that, especially all of you out on Twitter. I hear some of you have even tried this format before. Some say it's super easy, isn't it?
I
Anyways,
mean, wild players are usually bad, and our takes are bad, and something Viper.
something game mode easy, players bad, just a reality. Can't take any takes seriously. But it's fine. We have Player of the Week. First up, the NA server with the brown and green conferences. We have Reverb. This one hurt a little bit because Reverb took it against my team and Roddit's, but congrats to him. Now, this comes from one of Reverb's teammates, who we won't name. Having only won 2 matches in 2 weeks, Bash Brothers took on Wild Powerhouse and reigning champions F2L. At 2 matches apiece, the final match was winner takes all of reverberations could be felt across the wild landscape as the prey became the predator, taking the points and sending a message to the others. If it bleeds, we can kill it. That really hurt, but it's okay.
I mean, we had to be generous and make sure they felt like they were still competing, and they did a good job, so they deserve it.
Yeah.
GG's to Reverb.
It's easy.
Yeah.
Not very good at all.
Oh, I can't do shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Seth, we also have an EU player of the week. You want to tell us about them?
Yeah, I'd love to. So the EU player of the week is Adrian123. And this is submitted by our very own Marty B. He says, everyone's a winner. We're up against a seemingly insurmountable challenge in Goku number 1. The Norwegian himself had already completed a sweep, and both teams were neck and neck through the first 4 matches. Goku may be number 1, but that wasn't enough to keep our player of the week from sealing his team's win in week 3. Adrian123 came in and saved the week for his team with a 3-1 win over Burnt. The win put his team on top with a 14-12 score to close out the week.
Against my team again, the feels. It's a hard week. It's a hard meta. GG's to Adrian. It was very closely fought. Well done.
Yeah. Just looking at the score and the way things went, it definitely seemed close. I think you guys can still say, though, Goku number 1 with that 3-0 sweep.
I wonder what our name will be this coming week. We went from USA number 1 to Goku number 1 after picking him up, but maybe we'll have to change it up now that we got rolled a little bit. I don't know. I appreciate suggestions from you guys.
Goku is still number 1.
Well, technically, I'm in the 1 line for that team. So maybe it's Rotted number
you
1.
have to lose.
God
no, you just have to lose.
Oh, no.
Your fault. Not following the narrative. All this virtue signaling over here, not even. Well, let's see here.
Smoke this meth to enable cam for Seth. GG's. Well done, chat.
Maybe next time. We'll see.
Anyways, we have a meta overview to look at.
Oh, yeah.
So let's take a look at last week. Just taking a look here.
Anything standing out to you?
We have quite a few fewer decks in terms of the archetype spread compared to last week. People seem to be reining it in a bit. You know, Demon Hunter, we're only seeing odds still. More Druids this week. A lot came from Melee Ghost Druid, it seems. That deck has really picked up.
Yes.
Some Nicotine Druids too. Hunter is pretty stable. 2 more brings than last week. Most people just bringing the Odd District Hunter. It says Odd Quest, but that should be under Odd District. Ignore that. Mage also seems to have stabilized. Only 4 more brings than last time. Most of these are the combo type, with Ignite Mage and Mizagi Mage dominating. People are still bringing Secret Mage, even though it's pretty much dead on ladder. And we're still seeing some Reno believers.
Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah. Seth, can you
Even
tell us
I'm
about
not
that?
taking that. I know. Even I'm not taking that much copium.
Oh, well, you heard it
Maybe
from the
next
man
week.
himself.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
next time.
Paladin saw a big drop. 9 fewer brings this week versus last time. Everyone kind of decided if they're going to bring Paladin, it's going to be the Iron variant. Still see some odd Paladins around, like the
Yeah.
nerfs. A few hand buff Paladins, and an Exodia, and 2 even Paladins. So a bit unique there. More to discuss on that later. Priest fell in popularity as well, just slightly. 5 fewer brings. So people still bringing aggro priest mostly. See some other weird things going on, especially around the Highlander archetypes. So we have a Reno Shadow Priest, Fatigue Reno Priest, and an odd Raza Priest from our very well-loved
Jeez.
engine.
Is Fatigue Reno in this case like Benedictus? Just get him slowly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Exactly
boy,
that. So think the White Delight special of the past few seasons without the quest and OG Benny.
that sounds like it would take forever. It sounds actually refreshingly slow.
Yeah, quite unusual in a meta like this.
Yes.
Rogue, we have a few more brings there. This is the only week we're going to see this many Mechathune rogues, in my opinion, because the bug with that deck has been fixed. So Counterfeit Blade will no longer get the Mechathune's Death Rattle if Mechathune gets transformed or milled. And instead, we'll see a lot of Kingsbane and Pillager Rogue, as we saw this last week.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if the number of Pillager alongside like Malagus and stuff like that pick up. I have to expect the number of Malleys just because it's defensively probably easier to play and it's safer. But I think we're going to see an uptick in combo. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. Beyond that, Shaman had its population cut in half.
Ooh.
Seems like this class just isn't cutting it right now. There's a few different archetypes throughout, but none of them really have made much of a splash in this meta. We'll see if that ends up changing in the future, in the coming weeks. Warlock actually increased once again, 1 more bring than last week. How high can this class go? 88 brings, 77 of those brings being some form of seed lock. 6 Reno locks is a big surprise. 1 even lock. It's a bit fewer than I expected, considering the deck isn't that bad at all.
Yeah.
Still seeing some representation.
What Mad Lads brought Mechathune? My goodness.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, but still
I
seeing
mean,
Mechathune Warlock too.
look at these numbers. 88 brings. It pretty much is a hard lock then that if you're playing in THL, you're guaranteed to use one of your 4 spots for a Warlock, most likely Seed or Cataclysm combo Seed. That's really something. Yeah.
And then finally, look at Warrior. 2 more brings than last time. Everyone's set on this Quest Pirate build. Okay, the next most popular archetype within the class is Odd Pirates, which also runs the quests.
Mhm.
So you can really tell what dominates and defines the Warrior class right now. And that would be Raid the Docks.
Yep. It's also only a shade behind Warlock in terms of the number of people bringing it. So while there was some variety, most people were settling on Warrior as their number 2 class. And I don't know about what your experience was like, but that's been fairly consistently mine. So there's your there's your 1 and 2 lines right there.
Yeah, I would say so as well. And definitely most people here, I believe.
And actually looking at the number breakdown, the most brought deck was Quest Pirate Warrior, 1 bring over straight Seed. So although more people were bringing sort of a version of Seed in general, Quest Pirate was still the most brought archetype.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
take
it just
those.
comes down.
Yep.
It really just comes down to seed kind of breaking up its archetypes.
Yeah.
Where either you go giants or you go cataclysm. And
Exactly.
because of that split, Quest Pirate Warrior can technically be the most popular archetype.
Yeah, I think that's still a bit of a false way to put it. I mean, it's I mean, I think we both can agree that Quest Pirate is going to be a high legitimate bring, but in terms of like overall popularity, a version of the Demon Seed is still going to be number one.
Yeah, for sure. And it doesn't seem like that'll be changing anytime soon, even with the change to
Yeah.
Flesh Giant. We'll have to wait and see. Now, we were talking about archetypes and some unique ones. And one of the suggestions after last week's show was to feature some decks that won their week that were a bit different from what people are used to. And so we're going to do just that. Let's go back to the home screen. We have two decks to talk about. The first one is from Reverb, who we talked about. He brought Even Paladin and went with this. What do you guys think about this? Got a Corpse Taker, Call to Arms package, Battleground Battle Master for Wind Fury as well to really punch through opponents. A lot going on here.
Seems reasonably spicy. I don't think the hero power is going to be doing all that much, but I mean, why not thread it in if all these other synergies work? I mean, I wouldn't expect this to be the best archetype, but it certainly seems playable, especially, you know, given the strength of Call to Arms and sort of the low end tax effects. And now that they've got Conviction, sure.
Yeah, I would say that's the main appeal right now. You have Conviction available to this deck, and if you run an Oddpowing, maybe you run an Even now. That really carries the archetype.
And seeing Cariel Roman there, you could probably get some work in where you play her and discount either it or Hand of a Doll, and you'll still be able to make the mana work out in terms of sort of sneaky lethals using Conviction. I mean, you'll have to do an extra step, but it's still doable.
Yeah. Yes, what do you think about this?
I love this deck. It's got Sunkeeper Tarum, it's got Cariel, it's got Varian. As much as I love the deck, I'm gonna agree. I don't know how great it is. But I could see in a different meta with a different set of words on the Demon Seed, I could see this deck being really fun and maybe even competitive. Maybe not tier 1, but competitive.
Yeah, it seems really intriguing to me that it could vomit out a bunch of stats and immediately turn into a sort of Blessing of Kings, Conviction, sort of just pushing damage.
And there's a lot of ways to high roll with this as well.
Yeah.
Things off of Call to Arms, Corpse Taker with Divine Shield, Wind Fury, Taunt, and Lifesteal. Blade Master Samuro with Conviction to clear. There's just a lot going on here. Once you hit turn 4, you're looking to blow out your opponent.
Yeah.
And it seems pretty consistent as well.
I think that given sort of watch post, and I'm a little surprised they're actually not running web lords, but I think they're probably going for a higher high roll in terms of just pure damage. I agree with Seth. I think this could be really interesting in a world where the Demon Seed isn't pushing out so many like potentially relevant archetypes. This could be certainly tier 2, low tier 2, tier 3 viable.
Oh, speaking of decks that were suppressed and others that were not, there was another unique deck that we had last week, piloted by Gundark in his win last week, that has been doing pretty well with the Demon Seed around, and that's Token Druid. So this is pretty straightforward. A lot of spells here to synergize with Whispering Woods and Globalized Form. This originally came from Battle Tagger, this kind of list. And we had the Oaken Summons high roll as well with Vargoth and Marauder to help against aggro. So, lot to unpack. People considered this a slightly worse Odd Paladin a while back, but now that Odd Paladin doesn't have Conviction anymore, seems like it's now the opposite. What do you guys think? Seth?
I think that this deck once one mana Gibberling back. Well,
It really
let me
does.
rephrase. A different build once one mana Gibberling. But the Oaken Summons package of itself, in and of itself, gives you something to look at. Oaken Summons can carry a lot of strategies, especially when you're hiding behind that 5/10. You can build up a big board, drop an Arbor up, and your opponent, especially if they're a board-based aggro, really can't do much without sacrificing their whole board,
Yep.
which gives you the swing turns.
Yep.
Absolutely. Brian, what do you think?
Oh, I mean, I think if with Gibberling gone, this is the way this archetype has to go. It has a little bit of everything for everyone. The Spreading Plague at the top end, I always kind of like, especially against hot aggro, because you can go wide, and if they can't immediately deal with it, you get to just buff it out of its mind. I think this is, like you were saying, I think this is going to look to be a better token deck given the circumstances than we can ever expect going forward for something like Odd Paladin, which is just too fair. This depends on a couple of different high roll options, which for now archetypes are going to need.
Absolutely. And like I mentioned before, these finishers in this kind of deck are as explosive as it gets, really.
Yeah.
I've played variations of this where on turn 7 I was dealing 40 damage with only 2 tokens.
Jeez.
So
What were you
It
doing?
gives
Like
a lot of
Solar Eclipse Arbor up and just going nuts?
yeah, Solar Eclipse, Arbor Up,
Arbor
Savage
Up
Roar.
is a heck of a card.
Wow.
A board and a buff all in one. It's honestly insane.
Yeah, now that Odd Paladin and decks like it have lost Conviction, this is probably the next best place to hide. Savage Roar is still really, really strong if you can land it.
It's very easy to land it with this kind of list, especially with the lack of board clears right now going on. So, once again, congrats to Minmark for taking a unique archetype and winning it with it so we can feature it on here.
It's pretty cool,
And,
yeah.
if you guys like this, then let us know. We're happy to feature more stuff. Very cool decks, win with them, and we'll see if we can get you on here. Otherwise, we have matches to discuss. How we move to the green complex.
Let's do it. Oh, Brown Conference? Okay, let's see here.
Oh, round conference it is then.
Yes, yes.
Fair enough. So let's take a look at the standings here. Everyone's winner at the top. Okay, we have them at 57 points, but they had 53 points before the week began, which means they were still in first place, and they get their logo at the top. Glossy Pain Merchants is right behind them, 51 points. The only team that's 3-0 in the conference right now, and so they also get their logo out. Beyond that, we have a bit of a drop. Oh, I'm sorry. What were you going to say, Robert?
Oh no, I was just mystified looking at the Aussie Pain Merchant logo. My God, is that a jar of Marmite or something?
Probably, knowing them.
Holy guacamole!
I think
I
it's Vegemite.
apologize. Yeah, I'm just wow. Please carry on.
Yeah, so a bit of a drop from second to third. Mankirk's Revenge and Open 2 Underwater Boogaloo neck and neck with each other, 43 and 42 points respectively. We have Pong Merchants, Bass Bros, and Wild THL Fanatics, 32 points. What do you guys think?
Well, it seems like in times past, we're sort of reaching the median here. Like how to say this best. You have a couple of teams that have sort of emerged with the Aussie Pain Merchants and a couple of teams, or one team in this case that has not won yet, but everyone else is starting either to find their way to the middle. I mean, like it's been that way in THL in the past. People have really had it come down to the wire in terms of playoffs, and it's looking like in Brown Conference, for starters, we might be getting a couple of really deadlocked teams after week 4 finishes up. I don't know. very close.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Brown is free. Everyone knows it.
Brown is free.
Free low.
Once Nofin is in third, at least, then it's free. We just needed one more point.
It's still free.
It's still free.
Yep, this is my show. It's free.
Free low.
What I say goes.
Yes, sir.
Anyways, we have matches to discuss too. Rotted. Tell us about everyone's a winner versus Metadruid.
Well, in this case, it's actually kind of the same. You see the results, 13-11 for Metadruelers, which is a little bit of a surprise, I think, given the strength of everyone's a winner. But in this case, it was delivered by 3 individuals going 3-1 right at the top, Lasagna, QWERTY, and Knops, all delivering pretty decisive 3-1 wins. 6J and Sunday tried and did keep it close with their own 3-1 and 3-0. But in the end, Metadruelers races out to 3-0, and it's wow. It's really one of those things that I mean, it's kind of like F2L losing, right? It's like it's going to happen eventually, but very good week for them. Very good week for them.
Absolutely. And it's very interesting to see Lasagna at the top, someone who struggled last season, the 3-0 start. And Noe, one of the best players from last season, struggling.
It's
3.
It's unfortunate, but it's kind of one of those things in this meta. You know, Noe is an exceptional player. So is Lasagna. One is 3-0, the other's 0-3. It could probably very easily be the reverse, given just the way the meta and the matches are. I'm expecting it kind of to continue regressing. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Noe picks it up from here, and Lasagna, while still playing well, inevitably drops a couple. It's just the way things are right now before nerfs that might come.
Absolutely.
Are there any decks that stood out to you in this pile here?
I believe Tagger brought an interesting list. Let me double check. It might have been the week before.
Yeah. Lasagna brought a Demon Hunter. I mean, it's odd Demon Hunter, but it's one of the rarer brings, given what we discussed earlier.
Yeah, there wasn't too much there under sticking out. Absolute bringing Even Hunter. Even Hunter hasn't been as popular. We did bring them and we lost with it.
I'm curious about 6J's list here. I'm looking at what 6J brought, and he ended up winning. His Druid list is a Mali list, but it runs double Gold Chernoll, I guess because they get, big hand space and can vomit out a 5-4. It's a very interesting tech choice.
Yeah, and those actually become free when you play Celestial Alignment and have another card.
That's right, because it's kind of like a giant, right? In that sense, it's dependent on the calculation.
Free, and so are your nulls after you play Celestial Alignment.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Beyond that, there's not too much that stuck out in terms of unique lists. QWERTY brought an Overload Shaman, which isn't too popular. I loved it, so shout out to them. But otherwise, these were pretty standard, straightforward lists. A lot of Quest Pirate Order, a lot of Seed Lock, something Night Mage here and there. Just exactly what you would expect, given the current state of the meta.
Yes, indeed, I would.
Seth, want to cover the next match we have?
Yeah, I'd love to. So next up, we've got Mancrick's Revenge versus Owl, Overpowered Wild Leaderboard. And Overpowered Wild Leaderboard took a huge win over Mancrick's Revenge. They beat them 4-1, 17-8, which is really good for Owl and really bad for Mancrick's. Coming in at the top, we've got Turtle, Nice Jewish Owl, and Possible Hope all winning 3-1 over Sinister Me, Sick Lad, and Lord Zab. Oddlaw managed to take his own 3-1, winning against Geranium Battle. And then back in the 5, Hello 547 beat PCDS 3-1. This was pretty dominant, and I would wager to say a little unexpected. What do you guys think about this match?
Just looking at this, Turtle just off to a fantastic start, 3-0. PCDS falling a bit for Mancrick's Revenge, 0-3 after having an 84 run last season, I believe. So good setting for them. Really, Owl is coming in, turning things around after being on before the start of the season. A lot of these guys don't usually play much Wild, or they're just not well known in THL, which is possible hope and below 547. So seeing them get wins here against known quantities like Lord's Ave, Cyclad, and ECDS is huge for them.
And that isn't too surprising for me, actually, in point of fact. The pattern of like these good players who are less familiar with Wild taking a few weeks to get more acclimated and then really starting to turn up the pressure, that makes a lot of sense for me. And I wouldn't be surprised if, they kept it up, frankly. These guys seem like good players, and once you get the handle on the meta, especially one that's as narrow as this, you can really turn in some results. Great job by them.
Yeah, for sure. Any other comments on the Brown Conference then? I think we're ready to move on to Green.
Seems good.
That's the case. Yeah. Rotted, tell us a bit about the Green Conference now.
Absolutely, sir. So, unlike the Brown Conference, or maybe a little unlike it, you have a bit more separation here in the Green Conference. The Hair Club, that logo is mom everywhere. That's amazing. And the Meta Droolers have stepped ahead with undefeated 3-0 records, followed closely by F2L Viridian and the Mad Scientists, formerly conference leaders. Below them, Owl and the Usual Suspects and the Golden Hand are all trailing a little bit, slightly more separation. But again, I still wouldn't be surprised if this all sort of trends back to the middle as people trade wins and losses. That being said, and I think you'd agree, this is the conference where winners are made. This is where everything will be decided. Brown is free, green is good.
I think you guys got the wrong graphic because F2L Viridian is in third. That doesn't seem quite right.
Yeah, I know.
Are you sure that we got the right picture for this week?
It's really a controversial thought, but yeah, we did end up losing this week, and it was unfortunate. We went down 12-15 against the Bash Brothers, and it's probably mostly my fault, actually. I got absolutely rolled by Mr. Python, who played a really clever series. Good on him. GG's. Otherwise, it was just close. Corbett squeaked out a win. Neji and Get Me Out had losses get squeaked out in the other way by Reverb and Jailstorm, and Marty beat Knight. So just close, except for that loser Rotted. What? Very close.
We still love you.
He kind of slept through his match, and
Yeah.
Python got a DQ. There was no DQ submitted. Rotted just kind of slipped through his matches, and Python played cards, and that was it.
Yeah, it's fairly typical for him. I don't know. I hear he's a bit of a sucker.
Yeah.
But still, though, regardless, I think this is going to be a pretty tightly fought conference. I'm looking forward to the matches coming up this week because we're going to see if that separation continues with teams like Hair Club or whether they can get pulled back to earth. Should be very fun.
Absolutely. Well, we already did cover this F2L versus Bash Bros matchup in a way while discussing the standings. It's all good.
Yes, I couldn't help myself.
All good. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We have the Usual Suspects versus the Pog Merchant. So, a lot of points taken by the Pog Merchants here. 18 out of a possible 20. So, big win for them there. That really brought them back. Martian, the only loss there. Martian came in as a sub. Looks like he's going to be there for a while now with the Pong Merchants, though. Really good for them. Martian Boo, wild streamer, very well known, very strong player. So, excellent addition there. Outside of that, awful artist, Tom Carter, Charp, and Excalibrine. Shout out to them in the chat, and shout out to Tom as well. Saw both of you in there. And getting wins against their opponents. Higher HX, Tree 2582, Peanuts, and Duo Cat all falling. Snake Thoughts was able to get the 3-2 win though, and that brings him to positive and solidifies him in the 1 seed for at least the next 2 weeks.
Hey,
So
congratulations,
great
Snake.
promise forward for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I just can't help but look at these bans and see so much Warlock being banned. It really hurts. There's not much more to say beyond that. Just feels
No.
like there's a lot of pigeonholing going on. No one wants to play against this class. They just get rid of it, bring 3 other decks, and hope for the best.
I mean,
This
even if
time it won't be
you're
possible.
even if you're looking to target Warlock, that's a dubious strategy at best. I think we've discussed. I mean, like there's some decks that can put the pain to it in like slight ways, but Warlock is just that good. It can get around just about any attempt to counter it.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. So hopefully something will happen in the coming weeks. Who knows? Twitter will have all the answers, I bet, as we saw this week.
Oh
And
yeah.
I'm sure plenty of standard players will have plenty of things to say about all us wild people. And they'll think they're right, and we'll all feel great, because this is clearly a very happy and friendly and accepting community with no issues whatsoever.
I played Wild once, and let me tell you why you all fucking suck. Wait, sorry,
Hold on,
what?
hold on. Slow down, slow down. Let's,
Slow your roll, slow
just
your
a
roll.
little. This is a family.
Oh, is it a family-friendly show? Okay. I can try again.
It's all good.
Jiminy
Oh.
Jillikers, I sure no, I don't know.
I'll have you
I'm
know that I
saying he's
tried
banned.
standard once.
How'd that go?
I am 1 and 2 in standard THL, so maybe I am just
Ooh.
bad.
I had a
You know
positive
what?
perception.
I subbed in THL Legacy this week, and I won my match 3-1. So maybe there's something to that.
I think it's because all standard players are bad and easy. So it's very easy to
Yes.
dominate them. It's just not worth their time.
Standard's free.
Us big wild boys need to get in there and show them how it's done.
You heard it here first. Standard is free.
Free. Oh, it's so good. It's
With
free.
that said, let's take the jump over to the EU server real quick.
Uh-oh.
And we have the EU wild standings to discuss. Seth, want to tell us about it?
Oh yeah. So EU, they like to play a little early, you know? They don't abide by our time schedules. They're a little more special than us silly Americans. But I did some quick math. I have a high school diploma. I can do that. I swear.
Excellent.
So in first place, we've got a little agony going into this week with 56 points. EU, everyone's a winner, going into this week with 49. F2L Celadon going into this week with 40. Safari Wild going in with 39. Goku number 1 at 36, and Bad Tech Cards at 32. There is,
You had one job. One job.
and what was
And you
that?
said F2L Celadon had 40 points. We had 39.
39. Oh no.
You hate to see
I
it.
lied. I didn't graduate, guys. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
That being said, the standings are still correct. And a little agony and EU, everyone's a winner, have a pretty big margin. They definitely look to be the favorites early.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. 4 teams here make playoffs out of the 6, so it's still anyone's game. Even Bad Tech Cards is still in this early on. This is a 10-week season, so we're not even a quarter, or we're just past the quarter mark.
Plenty of games left to play.
Yeah, absolutely, and definitely still be a bunch of shakeups. With that though, let's take a look at our first matchup. F2L Celadon versus Safari Wild.
Ooh.
I like captain these guys, but I don't really take much of an approach with them. I just give them advice here and there of what they want to bring. Say, hey, this seems pretty good. Good luck, and send them off. It's like teaching your kid to swim. You kind of just say, paddle, and then you throw them in the water and hope for the best.
I mean, with players like Albi and Lorthos and Bedrims and Rebob and Copa, I mean, like, teach them to swim. These guys are already like all in an Olympic pool doing hard laps. These are good players.
Well, that's the thing. Rebob is still learning the doggy paddle right now. That 1-3 record. having the one loss against Silason. Congrats to Silason, excellent player, multiple high legend finishes to their name. Really, this team, Safari Wild, is stacked. Really proud of these guys. Take a 3-1 for the most part down the line. Coming on top over Rat, James Bounty, Ramen Joke, and Killer Raccoon. It's huge. So congrats to them. Safari Wild still in a great spot too. 2-1. They're still in fourth. Still have that playoff spot. Doing well, and I'm sure they're going to turn it around after this 1 week. Any other comments from you guys?
It seems pretty straightforward. I think you nailed it.
All right, with that said, then let's move on to the second match in the EU Wild Series that we have to cover. That's EU Reone's winner versus Goku number 1.
Uh-oh.
Goku is number 1. Well, what happened here?
I would like to say that they are all dirty cheaters and that, no. No, we just got got. It was nice and close. But in the end, they just were able to squeeze it out with some clutch wins by Mr. Luke and Adrian, and a very, very close series where Maxodona emerged against Shadow Frog. Goku and Otters tried their darndest to pull this back, and Bert and I gave it a little of a go, but in the end, everyone's a winner. Just such a talented team, and they took it. And as you can see, our strategy of all banning warlocks almost worked, but didn't quite get there.
It definitely seems close.
From the chat, Goku 1-1 would be a good name.
So are we just going to change it every week based on Goku's record? Is that what this is going to be?
I think we're changing it every week if Hat'll let us. I don't know. We're that kind of annoying little team. It's to distract from our subpar plays. I don't know.
Yeah, so much on his plate, and you're out here changing your name every week.
I mean, but in the end, it was still a very close match. Everyone's a winner. Everyone's a winner, however you want to say it. They're an exceptionally talented team. If you look at that lineup, you see a lot of people who are routinely in the top of the legend ladder or who are just well-known, well-established players. Not that we're a number of slouches. We have some really good players, but I think it could have gone either way. And just like the rest of the season, I think it could go anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys are good. I think you guys are pretty solid too.
I'm stuck in the number 1 seed. I don't want to be.
You didn't let Goku take it. That way Goku can be number 1.
Goku number 1, then I see.
Yeah, it's easy. Just keep sweeping. Well, that's all the matches we have to cover, and we're going to head back to the main screen because we have another question for this show. This time, given the subject of Twitter and what was being talked about this week there, and the balance changes we had this week, a lot of uproar on how often changes are needed in the Wild format, and how much overreach the devs should have in the format. I want to hear from you guys. How often are nerfs needed in Wild? Seth?
Yeah, Seth, please.
Oh boy. We're going to start another Twitter war, but...
Do it.
I love Wild. So does everybody here. And we are all aware that Wild is not meant to be like Standard. That being said, that doesn't mean Wild has to be unplayable. And in the past, there have been steps taken to prevent Wild from becoming, the inevitable combo hyper aggro format that naysayers always say that it's destined to be. And I love when the devs, step in there and keep Wild fun and, give us so many good decks to play. Like last meta, just coming out of Wailing Caverns, we had, 25, 30 viable decks that you could reasonably play and do well with. I don't think there were any nerfs needed there. That meta was great. Sure, Dark Glare was overtuned, but you could play other things. But when it gets to a point like it is now, where you either play seed or you tank your win rate, I think that's the point where, maybe we need to reassess and look at changing or tweaking a couple things to try and at least bring some other things back into the meta. Not everybody's going to agree. Not everybody's going to love the changes, but everybody loves having more decks to play and not fewer.
Well said. Really well
Connor?
said. I
What do you
mean,
think, Connor?
I've been thinking about this a lot over the last few days, and I know that there are going to be a lot of different opinions about how we want to approach balance in a format that has been purposefully left to be a little bit more hands off. But the thing I'm looking at first and foremost is there are a lot of people I respect and who for years have deeply enjoyed this game who are telling me very plainly that they're not having fun anymore and that they're seriously considering quitting the game or really scaling back their involvement. And that, I think, is an absolute shame, but something that is wholly fixable. To answer the question directly, how often are nerfs needed in Wild? I think as often as necessary. Sure, the format is inevitably probably going to get to a place, given just the constant power creep and all these cards being printed, where it's more focused on hyper aggro and hyper combo. But looking at the night and day change before United and Stormwind and then after the expansion, I think any of us would really agree that we didn't expect things to happen that quickly. And a lot of us have been sort of left flat-footed by the fact that before United and Stormwind, dozens, maybe not dozens, but 10, 20, a lot of archetypes were really seriously playable and potentially competitive. Now that number is as significantly diminished to about a half dozen. Either play the Demon Seed or one of its direct attempted counters, or you're done. I think the devs have shown us in the past their willingness to work in the Wild format, and I think we all would like to see them continue to demonstrate that commitment and make sure that players don't feel like they have to leave.
Well said there as well. Yeah. I don't really have too much to add to the subject. I believe you guys have really hit a lot of points that I wanted to touch on. The one thing I do want to say though is I don't think looking at the format once an expansion and changing things slightly to encourage more of this variety is too much to ask for. We don't have to go multiple expansions with no balance changes at all. Enough to shake things up where we don't have the same decks for over a year being at the top. Sure, they can still be playable later on, but if they're limiting other things, let those other things breed so that we can have more available to us. So it doesn't necessarily have to be multiple times every expansion. Like we've, in a sense, seen this expansion, though how effective those have been for debate. Just something directly targeted us. Just throw the format up though, and really every once in a while, once an expansion should help ease a lot of people's thoughts.
And that's actually why I can't get all of this acrimony that's coming from people who don't spend as much time in our format, who aren't invested in it. Like, wouldn't it be nice if we all can just have fun in the game that we mutually play, no matter if you're a Battlegrounds player, a Wild, a Standard, or whatever player, casual, competitive, serious, whatever. It's absolutely baffling to me that there would be that level of animosity or almost gatekeeping of fun. Like, you guys are in a lesser format, so it doesn't matter. You should be playing Standard if you want actually to have attention. Come on.
Yeah, it's very much gatekeeping and elitist.
Yeah.
That doesn't really help.
Let's just all play the game and let's all spend money. It sounds good to me.
Yeah, if you're
And
playing
don't
the
get
game
us
all the
wrong.
time,
We
ahead,
say
Seth.
this because we love the game and we want it to be something that everyone can come to and play their favorite thing.
Yes.
Yeah, if you're hearing criticism with this kind of outcry, it's because people want to play the game, not because they want to stop playing. If they wanted to stop playing, they would just stop and never say anything.
Yeah, we just go and do something else. There's lots of other fun things out there.
So if someone's complaining, they're not going to complain forever. You should probably listen to them. Unless it's something that you meant. Otherwise, if a lot of people are saying it, maybe there's some merit to it. But that's that wraps up the show. So, do you guys have any final thoughts? Anything you want to add real quick before we wrap things up? Seth?
Nope. I'm just glad to be back. I am really looking forward to playing some more Wild. Hopefully, there will be a nerf patch soon. And maybe we can get back to playing some of our favorite decks from the past, even if they're in a slightly different form.
For sure. Rodden?
I think you guys have said it well, and I'm still having a blast, not without frustration. So I'm just hopeful that we can continue to have a great time here in THL, playing high level Wild Hearthstone, competitive Copium, and that this situation is resolved in a way that it makes as many people as possible happy. That would be nice.
For sure. Yeah. The one last thing I want to add is, as always, we're looking for matchups. Schoolstone and other shows. And if you want to be on stream, just hit any of us up. Okay, me or Lotus or even Rotted, just anyone in the THL content team. We'll set you up, and we'll find a time for you and your opponent. And it's a lot of fun. A lot of things you can learn from it because you'll have other people watching your game in real time, and get to meet new people, and it's just a great time. So, hit any of us up. Goku, that goes for you too. I see you. So, yeah. Thanks again, and we will see you next week. Take care.
Thank you all for coming. Enjoy the rest of your week. The rest of your week? Oh boy. Bye, guys.